Ladies and gentlemen, I keep telling you that the floodgates have opened. If you, however, do not trust my words, take a look at what I have to show you in this video. But of course, first, make sure you press that like button and let us dive right in. So first of all, a monumental transaction just took place on the XRP ledger. A whopping 24 billion in Palau stablecoin was moved in a trust set transaction. The source, none other than this address. This isn't just a transfer, it's a potential game changer, indicating a significant movement of funds and possibly a shift in relationships between accounts. Account root and directory node types were modified, and a new Ripple state node was created. This is a testament to the scale and potential of XRP and the XRP ledger. Stay tuned for more updates. A good question is, I wonder what the Ether gas fee would have been on all this, but more importantly, a trust line with significant liquidity on the XRP ledger is a game changer because of increased utility, network effects, and liquidity provisions. To explain, trust lines enable the issuance and transfer of various assets, not just XRP. This boosts the ledger's utility as a decentralized exchange, potentially increasing demand for XRP as a bridge, or, like in my opinion, just to have the asset, which is the quote-unquote gas token of this at that point very liquid and highly utility-focused exchange. Network effects, the more entities using the XP ledger for transaction, the more valuable the network becomes. This could attract more users and more demand for XRP. And from liquidity perspective, trust lines with high liquidity facilitate large transactions without major price slippage, making the XPL attractive for large institutional users. Remember, it's not just about price, it's about the potential and utility of the network. And through what happened now with Palau and the CBDC on the XP ledger, I think a lot has started. Oh, and for all those that think a CBDC is not going to be nearly everywhere soon enough, I shared this video a little while ago and CoinBureau also shared it, saying what this WorldCoin lineup shows is the moment they start rolling out CBDCs, there'll be a large component of people that would embrace it with open arms. Sadly, the allure of anything free or convenient is too strong a draw, because they basically got $50 for scanning their irises, giving all their information to the WorldCoin OpenAI guys. And where the majority of us would have said, screw you, I'm not giving you all my info. Some people can't stand to not get those $50, or they just want to have some sort of digital identity of sorts. I'm not sure. Now we can talk about how Orwellian it is, but I think the most important part to understand is that Ripple knows what's coming, and they understand their market and understand that CBDCs are not just a fad. Again, am I a big fan of CBDCs? I definitely can't say that. But is it smart from Ripple to work on that? Sure it is. Yahoo Finance, All Market Summits 2018. We have 63 banks that have signed up in Japan. It covers 40% of all accounts in Japan by Brad Garlinghouse 5 years ago. Now you might ask yourself, hey, if that was 5 years ago, what's taking all this time for XRP to shine over in Japan? And two things. One, XRP is already shining. Two, they were waiting partially for this lawsuit. And number three, just for added benefits here, getting your banking partnerships all rounded up takes a long ass time. These are institutions that change their things once every 50 years or so. And so 5 years in the grand scheme of things is not that much to change up an entire bank's philosophy.
My understanding is where you are active, though, is Japan.
Yes.
And why is that? And what does the Japanese market hold that's distinctive that gives you an advantage there?
Yeah, Ripple, big in Japan.
Yeah, and Kansas.
I don't know about Kansas yet, but
Well.
So Japan is a unique market. So we entered into a joint venture with a large financial services player over there called SBI, and there's an entity called SBI Ripple Asia, and they serve the Japanese market. When we approach banks in Asia, we approach them to solve a cross-border problem that we've discussed here. What's super interesting is that the local rails in Japan are not very efficient. So the reason why we don't really talk about domestic settlement for using Ripple's technology is like, look, we could complain about ACH, and there's problems with ACH. It's pretty good. I mean, Ripple could do it better, but we'll leave that aside. It'd be a hard sales pitch to walk into the Bank of Andy and say, rip out your ACH rail and use Ripple. He'd kind of be like, look, that's not a big problem. That's not a big friction point. But if I go in and say to him, hey, your cross-border transactions, you're like, oh, that's a high friction point. My customers are frustrated that there's no transparency in the transaction. There's a lot of reasons to adopt Ripple. What happened, which we didn't really expect in Japan, is because the Japanese local rail isn't particularly efficient, we had all these banks talking to us about cross-border. They're like, well, wait a minute, can't we use this domestically?
Right.
Yeah, you can use it
Payments
domestically.
within Japan.
Correct. And so we have, I think now 63 banks that have signed up in Japan. It covers 40% of all accounts in Japan. They're in the process of going live within Japan.
What percentage of your business right now are these Japanese banks? Or at least the relationships in Japan?
Well, in terms of the number of banks, it's over 50% of it. I mean, we publicly announced we work with over 100 financial institutions around the world. I think said, I think it's 63 in Japan. So, you know, it's a big percentage.
Wow.
I'd say that's really an eye-opener, even though this video is 5 years old. It makes a lot of sense of those messages we've been seeing quite recently here, shared over on Twitter, with how huge XRP/Ripple is getting over in Japan. You can see right here, financial giant SBI showcases XRP usage for ODR remittances in Japan and Philippines. I'm afraid because this is the crypto basic, and so I'm going to assume that this is fake, because this website always has fake things. Then again, the source here is quite real, and the relationships we've also covered for a while. So be careful with that source, as I said before, guys. Be careful, be careful, be careful. I believe that website is a little bit, bad. But like you today also shared, Japan is one of the main markets, but most importantly, it's one that's quite undervalued and underrated. Also, take a look at this. XP Darren shared, there are 195 countries in the world. James say 5 announced, 5 not announced, conversations with 20 more. If the conversations turn into signed deals, that is 30 out of 195, or 15.4% running on Ripple's CBDC platform that offers private or public XRP.
I would tell you that outside of the US, the SEC case, had almost no impact on our ability to get conversations and projects going with central banks. I know here in the US, we focus a lot on the US, that's what you'd expect, but the reality is that the rest of the world does not see things the same way. I think it's been clear for a while that countries like the UK and Switzerland and Japan have been very clear that XRP is not a security. So anyway, moving on to the CBDC side, it's not really been an impediment. Since we started 2.5 years ago on this project, we've announced 5 different countries that are working with us. We have a similar number that are not announced, and then we have 20 plus other active discussions underway. So we've announced 5 different countries that are working with us. We have a similar number that are not announced, and then we have 20 plus other active discussions underway. So,
and just a second before we move on, guys, if you've not done it yet, make sure you check out BitGet. The link is down below. Right now, you can get yourself a couple of juicy spins on this prize wheel, which is pretty nice. Or check out the link down below for Bybit, as right now you can claim yourself $1,125 worth of an XRP trade for absolutely free. Again, I've left link for both of these down below. Go claim your prizes, and let's move on. Anyway, we all get the idea, I presume. Ripple is doing a lot more than meets the eye. And once more, guys, if you've not done it yet, make sure you press that like button. So what else have I got to show you? Well, I think one more interesting piece would suffice. If we take a look at what Cowboy posted a little bit earlier, you can't perfectly see it, but here's what it states. XRP exempted as eToro plans to list 4 different tokens. Twitter partners with eToro to let users trade stocks and crypto as Musk pushes app into finance. Remember that integration from X, Twitter formerly, with eToro for crypto stuff? Well, now, if we take a look back, it becomes quite apparent that eToro was actually in good connection with Ripple and XRP for a long while. Dark horse. We still don't know if Bitcoin can ever be surpassed, but XRP just might have a chance if so. Tell us, who's your dark horse candidate for football's MVP? And they put up XRP here on February 1st, not April 1st, and then the connection between Chris Larson and probably somebody behind eToro. And I've got more of those pictures, even with Brad Gullinghouse here at the Paris FinTech Forum, and again, this same picture. And the idea for people here is that X, as a former Twitter, will become a new financial behemoth, and potentially XRP, because of similarities, because of connections, because of yada yada yada, will play a major role in all of this. People are pointing out that the lawsuit concluding very close to X's start was all not really a coincidence. That I cannot state anything upon, but I do find it interesting. And all I'll say about it is I'm watching every single part of it, because I personally believe as well the floodgates have opened for so many good things to come on in, to flow on in. And at the end of the day, this is said about Bitcoin, but I believe it about crypto. Just in, the $15 billion TD Cohen says, we believe Bitcoin could ultimately represent a superior store of value relative to all other forms of money. And I keep saying, if we're talking about utility for moving money around the world, I don't think there's many better ways than through XRP. And all it takes is time for people to realize that, and for these companies to hop onto the new bandwagon, which again takes time and effort. But I do believe in due course, we are going to get to that standard. Guys, if you've not got that notification bell on yet, make sure you put that bell on, because what if something crazy drops tomorrow? You want to be notified, and that's about it. See you guys again tomorrow in another video. Yeah.